A sleepy spot of the Magic Kingdom lets us see what it would be like to go into Liberty Square, which was planned, advertised, and even at one point put on Disneyland park maps, but as we all know, was never actually built. Greetings friends, Brickey here from Liberty Square. Let's explore one of the unbuilt lands of Disneyland, how it turned out in Magic Kingdom, and project how it would have changed our beloved Disneyland forever if Liberty Square would have been built. Welcome to Disney Forgotten Lands. Liberty Square is one of the absolute not missed parts of Magic Kingdom. If like myself, you love Disney park vibes over rides. You can come back here, completely get lost. Amazing for me to imagine what this would have been like inside of Disneyland. And this is where they were going to build it. And right behind me here at home in Disneyland, where we would have entered down Liberty Street to work our way all the way to Liberty Square. Just imagine how different this park would be if there was another village on the other side of Main Street, USA, taking us back further into Disneyland and back further into our nation's great history.
Walt Disney announced Liberty Street as the first ever expansion for Disneyland in 1956. 1 year after the park had opened. Liberty Street would lead you down to a cul-de-sac, set during the Revolutionary War, and would feature a mixture of period-perfect buildings representing several U.S. cities. 13 buildings to be exact would pay tribute to the original 13 colonies, featuring merchants and trades that reflected this time period. Within the stores, sellers would practice the crafts they sold, where a Disneyland guest could buy something from a blacksmith that they saw working his forge. At the end of Liberty Street, you would enter Liberty Square, which would feature two of the land's attractions. The first being Independence Hall's the Hall of Presidents, but this would be a wax museum because animatronics wouldn't exist until 1963. And the second attraction, the Hall of the Declaration of Independence, would have featured 3 scenes inspired by famous paintings and a replica of the Declaration of Independence. Calm down, I know you're excited. This sounds crazy. The idea would be that both attractions would help tell the story of the United States. However, the area was never built because Walt had a lot on his hands in the late 50s at Disneyland, including the Matterhorn bobsleds, the Disneyland monorail, and submarine voyage. However, Walt did go as far as to have maps printed showing both Liberty Street and Edison Square. And even though Edison Square was never built, Liberty Street was an idea that made its way all the way out to Walt Disney World at the Magic Kingdom in 1971. Liberty Square in the Magic Kingdom, you guessed it, is themed after colonial America and the 13 colonies. It features a replica of the Liberty Bell and the Liberty Tree, which was something that was supposed to be in the Disneyland version, and is also home to the popular attraction, the Haunted Mansion. With Magic Kingdom not having a New Orleans Square, they needed to find a home for the mansion, and Liberty Square was that spot. The once imagined Hall of Presidents for Disneyland is also located here. But instead of being a wax museum theme as planned for Disneyland, audio animatronics exist in 1971, and this attraction would go on to have one audio animatronic for every president of the United States. Liberty Square, like New Orleans Square in Disneyland, has a long waterfront on the rivers of America. But here, instead of getting on the Mark Twain, you would ride the Liberty Bell to take a lap around Tom Sawyer's Island, where Big Thunder Mountain is right on the shores. It's crazy. So similar, so different. Even though this was originally planned as an addition to Main Street USA at Disneyland in California, the concept was revived during the design of the Magic Kingdom in the late 1960s. The area was meant to be a different version of New Orleans Square, but somehow stay distinct from New Orleans Square. Walt Disney Imagineering chose an early American 18th century theme with a special focus on the American Revolutionary War to commemorate the upcoming bicentennial in 1976, which, by the way, was a huge thing in 1976. So much stuff was made to celebrate this. So Disney wasn't unique in this thinking. And now to show you what Liberty Square was like on opening day, my good friend and yours, Glenn Campbell. I agree, kind of weird, Glenn.
This here is Liberty Square. It's the heart of Disney World. And I'll tell you, it's a great place just to think and feel. There are other things here to remind us, too, that freedom didn't come to us on a silver platter. All around us here are the streets of colonial America. Shops, meeting houses, taverns, farms, and the forges. It's where our liberties were born. This here is the Hall of Presidents. So come on in and meet the special and remarkable group of men who brought us along the journey of our nation's life from the very beginning.
Thanks, Glenn.
It's a great place.
I got it from here. And I don't know about you, but I look forward to seeing a couple of female animatronics entering this building someday very soon. Liberty Square is one of the Magic Kingdom's original lands. It opened in 1971 along with the park. It's located in the northwest corner next to Frontierland and Fantasyland, with access to Adventureland and the park central hub through its bridges. The Rivers of America forms its western border, with the Liberty Bell traveling all along it. Despite it being the smallest land at the park, it is a must-visit for everyone at the Magic Kingdom because, just like America, it's a crossroads for all to get to where they're going. Uniquely, there have been no major refurbishments to this land, which still features all of its original attractions from opening day. The square's theming is comprehensive and accurate, with architectural and engineering tributes and small antique and artifacts all throughout the attractions and its dining locations. Liberty Square takes guests on an architectural journey through America's history, beginning with the Haunted Mansion, which is a building that's sort of is supposed to be something from upstate New York in the 1770s. And then you travel clockwise around the Rivers of America and to Frontierland, culminating at Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, which is the 1880s of Southern California. So in this circle, you go from upstate New York, through the original colonies, over to the Great Frontier, and end at the bottom of California. You're essentially going around America when you complete this loop. But an amazing Imagineering detail to take note of when you're inside of Liberty Square. Every building that you see, where it has a house number or street number on it, put an 18 in front of that number. And in this example, it would indicate that this building was built in 1817 and this one reflects 1819. The centerpiece is the Liberty Tree, and it's an actual 100-year-old oak found on a property and transplanted with a younger oak grafted into its base. It has 13 lanterns, again to give a nod to the original 13 colonies, and this is something that you could find in the original Disneyland version's concept artwork. And then right next to it, just sticking with the same theme, 13 flags, 13 colonies. Because each of the buildings around you signify a different architectural style from one of the original 13 colonies. Whereas back home in Disneyland, it was only going to be 13 buildings, and each building would be specifically a representative of one of the 13 original colonies. You understand what we're doing here. 13, 13, 13, 13. You get it. Lots of 13s. 1313 also stands for MM, as in Mickey Mouse. That's why Disneyland's address is 1313. Join Club 1313 today. 13. Another cool design storytelling device inside of this land is during the Revolutionary War, England shipped no metal to the colonies. They were afraid it would be made into bullets. As you know, Americans love bullets. So every bit of metal that the colonists could find was turned into bullets, including the shutter hinges. So the alternative to put shutters on your house is to use leather straps. If you look around the land, you see all the shutters are off to an angle. It's to symbolize that they're placed with leather straps, which obviously wouldn't give you the same tight fit that a metal hinge would. Now that's storytelling. But the land is home to two tall tales. Some guests believe and love to tell everyone that the brown pavement that you see running down the middle of the main thoroughfare is meant to represent human waste. Urine and poop is flowing through the streets of the Magic Kingdom. And this would make sense since there was no indoor plumbing in colonial times. However, this is an urban legend, But in defense of the rumor mill, is this why you can't find any public bathrooms in Liberty Square, but there are many in the nearby adjacent lands? Comment below. What do you think? You think this is legit, or you think this is an urban legend? And the second urban legend in Liberty Square is all about the Liberty Bell. Now, the story goes this way, that the Liberty Bell was cast 50 times and one was given to each of the 50 U.S. states. However, why would Pennsylvania need 2 Liberty Bells when they have the real one? So the rumor is that Pennsylvania gifted this Liberty Bell to Disneyland. However, their double is in Allentown.
It appears the death knell is sounding for Allentown's Liberty Bell Museum. The museum and its new landlord have been unable to work out a deal.
But let's just go with it, baby. That's the only place you can see the Liberty Bell unless you go to Pennsylvania. Boom, Liberty Square, home of freedom at the Magic Kingdom. But let's just do this for a second. Let's imagine walking off Town Square in Disneyland, going just past the Mad Hatter and entering into Liberty Street, where we walk along a tight corridor of 13 different buildings that leads us to a small fake harbor on the left, but to our right, a very tiny Liberty Square, where there's a Liberty tree and 2 attractions about the founding of our great nation. A little bit more Main Street would be fantastic. A nice little narrow road to go down and get lost in. I could see myself hanging out at the end of the night or early mornings at this dead-end cul-de-sac. This would become a local street because there wouldn't really be the high demand, high attention that out-of-town guests need to see, where every precious minute of Disneyland is just simply that, precious to people from out of town. This would be a local street to stroll around in, to get lost in, to feel not only Disney's history, but our country's history all around us. However, it would have been a horrible idea, because where would the parade go? As you know, this area today is used to eat up the parade. The parade every day starts at Small World, works its way all the way through the park, and then can quietly hide here backstage. But for its second performance, the gates of magic swing wide open and the parade works its way back to It's a Small World. If this space would have become Liberty Street to Liberty Square, the parade would have had to have gone around Town Square Circle and made its way all the way back to It's a Small World, which would have been confusing at the least. Fans that had already seen the parade would want to exit and leave, but oh no, here comes the parade again. We're being chased by it, and people wouldn't know which direction to go in, or do I want to see the 3:15 parade or the 3:25 version of the parade? Logistically speaking, it was such a good thing this never happened, even though in my mind, I would love to be there. And if you're curious what it would have looked like with Space Mountain directly behind it, well, there's this model that no one can quite explain. Which is why I'm on the quest to explain to everybody, if you love Disneyland and it's your home park and it's right down the street, right down the state, or a state over, if you're a West Coast AP and you say, there's no reason for me to go out to the Magic Kingdom, I would urge you to do so, because there are so many living, breathing pieces of Disneyland that have been forgotten, torn down, that have vanished over the years. But here we find a part of Disneyland that never came into reality as we know it on the West Coast, but is as real as the country that it signifies out here on the East Coast. So strolling down its many paths, admiring all of its buildings, and getting lost in yet another perfectly designed Disney village, you can feel the ghost, not only of America's past, but a ghost of Disneyland and Walt's vision for how he wanted his little park in Anaheim to pay tribute to the country that inspired the whole damn thing. So the next time that you're walking at a fast pace and not running because you know that's against the rules, through Liberty Square to make your way over to Big Thunder Mountain or Pirates of the Caribbean, remember that you're speeding through something that is lost in time back home at Disneyland. which is why Liberty Square is my favorite land at the Magic Kingdom. It's what makes this park unique and allows me to go back in time into Walt Disney's imagination.
As you know, Disneyland Park is a sort of a monument to the American way of life. But after reading Johnny Tremain, we realized we had overlooked one major item in the blueprint, a memorial to the freedoms that made it all possible. Well, we're busy putting it in. Right here off the town square. We're calling it Liberty Street. Everything's in the planning stage, of course, but our research has taken us back to a period we'd like to recreate as a reminder that the Liberty story is a story without end.
There you go, friends. We just discovered Liberty Square and looked at what it turned out to be in Magic Kingdom and try to conceptualize what that would have been like at Disneyland and how that would have changed Disneyland forever. If you enjoyed today's video, please watch this video right here where I show you all the pieces of forgotten Disneyland that can still be found out at the Magic Kingdom. Friends, until the next time I see you inside of a forgotten land of Disneyland, I'll see you back here real soon.